In today's video, I'm competing in this 25k ITF here in Bali, Indonesia. Now, I played here a couple of months ago, but I've decided to come back, and I actually made it into main draw of singles with my ranking, which is pretty cool, so stay tuned to the end of the video to watch that. I also teamed up with my friend Bill Chan in the doubles, who I actually played against in Singapore, and unfortunately lost to, so hopefully this week we can pick up some more doubles points, because I've got quite a few to defend over the next couple of weeks. And now, I'm sure there's lots of you also thinking, hey Felix, I thought you stopped the road to top 1000 journey in last week's video. Well, let me clarify some of the points that I made in that video. And the first thing I want to say is no, I'm not quitting my journey to trying to be a pro. That's why it's called Road to Pro. I just hit a sort of inflection point in my journey where I've realized what I've been doing in the past hasn't really been conclusive to actually giving myself the biggest chance to getting to achieve my dream of playing Wimbledon or playing a Grand Slam one day, and here's why. So I recently watched the Dominic Thiem interview where he said it takes over $1 million to raise a tennis player. And throughout the process of documenting my journey, I haven't even realized how much of a monumental effort financially, emotionally, and mentally this whole process was going to be. But I think it's led to a lot of personal growth. And if I never really change anything, the results aren't going to make a massive improvement. Now, the setup that I have at home really hasn't been that great over the last 2 years on aggregate. I've had a coach come with me to a couple of events and have a couple of training sessions at home. But fundamentally, I've done a lot of the work myself. I've done it through hits. I've done it through asking my family to feed me balls every now and again. My tennis volume has been much lower than what it should be. So average pro should try to play about 14 hours per week. My volume in some weeks was between 3 and 6 hours per week. So there's clearly a big mismatch in what's possible. And that was mainly due to multiple reasons, but the main one being financial, to not be able to pay for a proper training setup and a proper coach full time. And as Dominic Thiem said, it's really, really expensive. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, it was really not easy to get even to the level where I am with multiple singles and doubles ATP points. I've really had to optimize, work on certain things, have a lot of self-drive. I've been able to optimize my setup to a certain level to get way more out of my tennis than what I've been able to put in. And I've got some really exciting projects to help teach that and showcase that to you guys so that you can do the same in your tennis. But fundamentally, I really feel that there needs to be a step to be made to actually give myself a chance in the long term, which brings me to what my plan is. So over the next few months, I'm going to be competing a lot more in UTR events, British Tour events, and there's a few reasons. Number one, they're going to give me more matches, which allows me to improve much more. If I don't have a good training base or a coach, the way that I'm going to improve the fastest is by playing lots of matches and having that improvement cycle improve match on match. And they're also going to give me a lot of tennis volume, which I can actually use instead of playing an ITF where I maybe play 1 or 2 matches per week. Now, in the short term, this might mean that I lose some ATP points or I lose my ATP ranking, but I think in the grand scheme of things, this is a really important step to not only give myself a little bit more financial security by playing these events where I have guaranteed matches, guaranteed prize money, and the expenses are a little lower because I'm traveling more locally in Europe, but it's also going to give me that match volume and tennis volume which I really need whilst I build some other really cool projects which I'm going to be launching to you guys in a couple of months, and of course continue to create epic videos which can hopefully then sustain a higher financial commitment into myself to give myself the highest chance of competing. And when that does take place, you will see me with a coach traveling, really giving me advice week in, week out to make those improvements and continuing on Road to Pro. But that means you're also going to be seeing much more consistent uploads of actually the tournaments that I'm playing, UTRs, British Tours, a lot more cool tennis content which I talked about in last week's video. So if you want to see the full information on that, go and watch that video. But with that being said, I'm here in Bali for 2 weeks. It's a good opportunity to try and defend my ATP singles point. I've got another chance in main draw to do that this week. And with that being said, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video and make sure to like and subscribe as well.
I'm so excited. I've got one more flight, 2 hours, and then we're in Bali, ready to go.
So what we're seeing here is one of my first practice sessions on the actual court here in Bali. I did arrive there with a little bit of a time crunch, so it was going to be important to get some hours under the belt, and the conditions were definitely toasty, so I definitely wanted to kind of get used to that and acclimatise as much as possible in the short time frame. The one thing on these courts, the balls are Dunlop balls, but they're Australian Open, so they like fluff up quite a lot. These courts are pretty slow. It's going to be a lot more of a physical battle, so just accepting that for these next 2 weeks, it's going to be good for my fitness as well. During the points, the main aim was just to stick in the point and look for the right shot to be aggressive on, to hopefully give me some confidence. But a couple shots that I mistimed, not getting too hard on myself, was going to be pretty important. Sometimes when you're going through it, instead of feeling sorry for yourself, try and just convince yourself, even if it's not true, you're not tired. Because even though it may sometimes be true, right, tell yourself it becomes worse. That's one thing I'm learning. Convince yourself of the opposite of however you feel. It does work. Nice little healthy spread this morning. One of my favourite fruits, dragon fruit. They also had yellow watermelon. Never seen that before. We've got the view for breakfast as well. Pretty scenic, you know. Of course, the mandatory coffee. It's machine coffee. It's
pretty terrible actually. It's like a 4 out of 10. Go with an espresso next time.
So we're starting off this week with doubles. So the way that this week was structured was Tuesday we were playing doubles and Wednesday I was going to be playing singles.
It's cooking out here today.
This week, like I mentioned, I'm playing with Bill Chan, a friend of mine. He actually picked up 2 singles ATP points in Singapore.
So we're out here playing doubles today. Obviously good to just get used to the conditions in a match environment. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking playing the first event somewhere, having not played for a couple of weeks, so you always just like to get those nerves out with a bit of doubles. Always love a good doubles match. I think it also helps the singles as well, just feel for the court, serve, return, volleys. I know Bill's ready. My favourite boss-sponsored athlete, by the way. Absolute beast on the court, so excited for this week, and hopefully we can go far.
So let's jump into this first round match, playing 2 American boys. I believe one of them also plays at a good American college. I'm not sure which one, but we knew this match wasn't going to be easy by anyone's standards. Well, no match at ITF is, but you know, we were ready for a battle. That's what I'm trying to say. Going into this one, obviously me and Bill have never played before, so kind of getting used to each other's game styles was going to be important. You know, he's got big weapons from the baseline. I prefer to be at the net a little bit more, so we kind of said, look, let's try and be as aggressive as possible. Let's try and find our way in, and then obviously from the baseline, just look to kind of be aggressive. You know, you can see here the level's pretty high early on, and I go down 3 break points on my serve here. You know, not an ideal start to my service game. Go for the lob there, and that happened. Absolutely cooked my ankle. Not even sure what happened. Bit of hyperextension of the knee potentially. I did take a physio break. I taped it up, but I had quite an alarming amount of pain. Not enough to where I was going to give up, but I was going to see how it lasted for a couple of games. But I really had to be careful with my movements. Now I was actually defending 3 ATP points in doubles this week, so I really, you know, wanted to try and fight as much as possible to try and get a win, to kind of maintain those points at the very minimum. So you can see me just trying to be in the right position as much as possible, and you can see me kind of with the serve just trying to not push off as much with that ball. And you know, me and Bill really kind of managed through it as much as possible. He tried to take a lot of the movement load from it. In situations like this, it's a little bit of a tricky one as a player, because you obviously want to push through a certain level of pain and keep yourself in it, especially in doubles for, you know, Bill as my partner as well. But obviously if it was going to be bad, then the next day I was obviously playing main draw of singles, so I didn't want to, you know, risk having a worse injury. So there's always this kind of mental battle that's going to be going on. But as you can see, you know, this first set was pretty competitive. You can see us here getting that break back to go 5-all, and this point here at 30-all really, really important. I'd actually said to Bill, look, I'm just going to stay at the net, I'm going to hold here, if you can just try and do as much as possible. And we do get that game point here at 40-30, an absolutely outrageous return. Takes us to probably the most important point of the match so far here at Sudden Death Juice. And we do lose it with some good depth from our opponents. And yeah, it wasn't looking good this set. Them obviously serving for it on their strongest service game. A little bit frustrating, because I definitely felt like we weren't bringing our best level as the match went on, just because of, you know, the fact that I wasn't moving as aggressively potentially, and also just the energy slightly dipped to maybe towards the end of that first set. But going into the second set, I kind of said to Bill, let's just go for it 100% here. Let's be really aggressive, keep the points as short as possible. I'm going to try and move where I can, but not try and do too much. And I started actually playing with an ice cube in my sock. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever tried this, but it's a little bit of a weird sensation, like you're kind of numb from like around the ankle area, and I had like 2 or 3 ice cubes just stuck in the sock, just trying to make it work, trying to get through kind of the set basically. And in the second set here at the beginning, it really began to pay off and work. Absolutely tanking forehands there. Almost when you've got nothing to lose, that's when you play some of your best tennis. In these service games, that kind of shoulder action just massively helping. And yeah, almost making me kind of free up on the forehand wing. So maybe I should try not moving as much more regularly. But we got 5-3 here, and you know, on Bill's service game, we're obviously looking to try and close out the second set and take it to a breaker. Crazy point here with Bill going off the camera, but we managed to take it with some crazy hustle, and we get ourselves a set point here, and we do take it, and we're into a match tiebreak. Now here, it was all to play for. Adrenaline really just, massive spike of adrenaline. Kind of the foot began to feel less and less significant as this tiebreak went on. And Bill absolutely, just turned something on in this tiebreak. You can see there, crazy reaction volley, great put away volley there. Return here at 5-2, just absolutely seeing the ball like a watermelon. And that definitely did help with going up here in this tiebreak. But with that being said, tennis is a sport with two teams, and it does go 7-all and get pretty dicey with them having a mini break here at 8-7. But we managed to fend it off. And this point here at 8-all was huge. Great backhand return, just missing the volley. And we get a match point here at 9-8. Kind of scuffed up smash, gets lobbed. Bill puts it up as high as he can. I genuinely thought he was going to take that out of the air for a second, but again puts in a great smash. An absolute crazy hustle to the point. Bill tries to go line. We lose that match point, and from there I knew it was going to be important to take this one on serve, otherwise we'd be in some serious trouble. Good smash put away, and here we get our second match point to take a spot in the quarterfinals. And there we go, we secure our spot, defend the 3 ATP points, but I did have the question mark of whether my ankle was going to be fit for the next day.
Right guys, so I've just woken up here in Bali, and mission for today is find an ankle brace. So I'm going to run you through in a little bit more detail exactly how the ankle is feeling, but it wasn't a great movement yesterday, and towards last night I was really trying to make sure that the ankle was kind of, elevated, iced, compressed. It wasn't feeling too great, and this morning it feels a little bit better. I'm going to be kind of having a positive attitude, but I'm going to have two kind of mindsets going into the match today, so I want to explain that a little bit. So come with me to try and find an ankle brace in Bali.
No idea if this place has it. We're gonna see. So we've arrived a little bit before it's opened. It's supposed to be this place, so they just getting ready to open, I guess. Okay, so little story time. I went into the shop and they had all this medical equipment. Even in the shop window, they had someone wearing like a proper tennis ankle brace, and they don't sell ankle braces. So I don't know what to do. I bought two. I bought this thing, which looks the most promising, like a silicone ankle brace, but I'm wearing it now and it's pretty heavy. I mean, I don't really want to be wearing that whilst playing. I'm going to have to make a little bit of a decision at some point maybe in the match to put it on if it does get worse. I'm going to run you through my two options for today's match. So obviously when you come to these matches, they're super intense, super physical. You obviously have to bear in mind your future self in these decisions. So obviously I'm playing at a level right now where, any movement and any kind of prolonged activity where you're really stressing the body is not going to be ideal, especially with an injury. And so obviously the primary goal is to go out there and compete. I'm going to give 100%, but I kind of have two scenarios which I have to consider when I have a match like this and you have pain. So because option number one is playing through the pain, so ignoring it, making the match more important than the ankle. Now this obviously could lead to potential further injury, further time off after the match. If I was to then win, obviously then the next match I'd probably have to retire if it does get worse, and that's kind of a decision that's really difficult to make. I haven't played so many majors this year. Obviously I really want to be out there and compete and give myself every chance to keep winning major matches. But obviously what I don't want is that, I'm going to be sitting out next week. I'm going to be sitting out for a month, not playing, not competing, not training. I think in the grand scheme of things, that's not worth it to try to win one match. The other option is to stop when I have pain, which is kind of the most sensible option, but not the option I love, because I want to compete, I want to play, and I never want to retire in a match. So that's the decision I'm going to have to make. And obviously you can hear by the tone of the discussion that, my ankle still doesn't feel amazing. I've taken ibuprofen, I've been putting ice, heat, compression. It sucks. Come all the way here to Bali, get into main draw, win doubles yesterday, and feels a little bit like there's always something which is messing you up or bringing you down, and it's a little bit difficult mentally to kind of cope with that. But what I'm going to say to myself is go out there and give my best, 100% of what I can control. I can't control whether my leg hurts. I'm going to get my bags ready, drink a lot of water, hydrate, put my physio tape on, and then head to the club. Let's do this.
So just on court hitting a few balls right now. Ankle actually feels pretty good. Just like gonna hit for like 10-15 minutes. So you feel the ball a little bit.
So in this warm-up, I was trying to take it as easy as possible whilst obviously testing out the ankle to see if I had any pain. I was practicing with my friend Alex, absolute legend by the way, for saving my phone that I left in one of the taxis, so thanks Alex. But overall, it was feeling pretty good.
I'm literally seeing the ball like a watermelon today.
And so going into this match, I had some pretty good confidence, and I wanted to try and move as freely as possible. I'd obviously taken all of the painkillers and everything, but I didn't want to let that kind of weigh on my mind. I wanted to come into this match free, loose, and really just try and focus on winning. Now, I haven't competed so much over the last couple of months, especially in main draw. There's new balls at 9 and 11. It's obviously a different environment with the umpire, the lines person, and everything like that. And so there was a bit of pressure that I was feeling, to be honest. I really wanted to put in a good result as well. Obviously, I'd had my expectations kind of going into this week with a significant travel around the world, big time difference, and limited training the week before, that I kind of knew I was being a bit optimistic to kind of hope for a good level. But with that being said, that you don't always need to win playing well. And I think that my opponent started off very strong, hitting quite a few aces, and I go down 3-0 pretty quickly here, and I had to make a little bit of a decision to try and be a little bit more aggressive in these games. I think sometimes the actual level of the points was pretty solid, but I did kind of feel that when I did stay in the points, my heart rate was just getting crazy high pretty quickly, and I had that with the heart rate data that I was seeing. When I look back at it, my heart rate was getting up to like about 200 beats per minute in some of these rallies, which wasn't a good sign of the conditions. As you can see here, I went down 5-love. Now, at this point, you begin to kind of capitulate a little bit. You begin to think, what do I have to do? My opponent's obviously serving extremely well, and I'm not really able to get through my service games. But with that being said, I knew, I've been in enough of these situations to kind of understand, look, he's playing well. I just need to kind of find my feet a little bit, put a few more balls in court, really begin to make him play, and I'll be able to find my feet in the match. With that set out of the way, I really wanted to kind of, take a fresh slate. Obviously, when you're 5-love down, you kind of know that the set's gone, so you just have to try and make the most of it. You're obviously fighting to try and stay in it as long as possible, but you kind of, come to terms with the fact that you need to focus on the next set. And obviously start this set on the right foot with a 1-love lead here, and definitely fighting with a much more kind of concise game plan that I had. I wanted to bring him forward to the net a little bit more, move him around the court, open him up with, playing to his backhand, high to his backhand, and then go line with my forehand. I didn't have huge amounts of confidence on this pattern, as you can see, a couple of mistimed shots, just because I haven't practiced it potentially as much as I would have liked. But with that being said, in these moments, you just have to try and back your game and try and do what works. And I do get broken in that game at 3-2. A couple of kind of loose points towards the end there. I was actually really disappointed with myself in that game, just to not kind of stick with it. I do get a break point here at 40-30. I decide to go down the line, and I missed that ball genuinely by 5 centimetres. And that proved to be a big difference maker in this set. My opponent then holding his service game, really making it tough for me. But you can see me playing a lot more freely here. I was beginning to kind of find my form in this second set. So I knew if I can try and stick with him potentially, and I can kind of test him in his service games, I can find a way through. But he was super solid. He didn't really give me much in his service games. And from that perspective, I really knew that, okay, I've got to ask the question. But in my service game here, I do go down 40-15 and I do lose 6-1, 6-3.
Yes guys, so it's future Felix here. I just wanted to give my thoughts on how I thought the match went. I think fundamentally I came off the court a little bit disappointed. I knew going into this week that travelling 19 hours across the earth was a little bit unrealistic to kind of expect to play my best tennis, to expect a very positive result. So I came into it with that mindset. Of course, also my ankle, which didn't turn out to be as bad as I expected, but it was still, in my head. I think it was very physical. I was really pushing high on my heart rate. I was 195 plus, and so I didn't really feel like I wanted to stick in the point too long, because I knew that I'd basically burn out. So even though I was winning the longer points, I felt like it wasn't a viable strategy to do over the whole match. And that's why I kind of resorted to trying to go for a little bit more on my forehand, which on the day didn't work. In the last couple of months, I've explained this already in multiple videos, that the training setup hasn't been ideal to really improve. And that's why I'm making a change kind of from here going forwards. And I really think that that's going to help me to not only improve as a player, but also improve as a person, to really work on the areas of my game which have maybe been a little bit neglected over the last few months. It's very easy when you're chasing points and to try and win matches to kind of forget the bigger picture of improvement and to take it step by step. And I think kind of taking a step back and allowing myself to look at it from that perspective will help me in the long run actually achieve my goal of playing Wimbledon, playing on the ATP tour. And it's not like saying goodbye to the ITFs, but obviously I've got next week, which I'm really looking forward to. It's going to be my last ITF here in Asia. Then after that process, probably switch to clay, really commit to the grind, commit to working on some certain things. But yeah, I was a little bit frustrated after that match, to be honest, and it hurts. Tennis is a sport where you lose a lot of matches, especially tough when you're posting it to the world, everyone's seeing it. The people that are the most successful that you see that do really well are the ones that can get up again and again and again. And I've seen it in my past when I've lost and lost and lost and lost. Those have been the times where I really tested myself. And when I came out the other side of that, that's when I really saw the results. Got my singles ATP points, got my first doubles titles, and so that kind of counts for everything in life. You just got to go through this period where it sucks. You really want to give up. You really don't think it's worth it. And I have all of those thoughts. I do. One thing that's really worked for me is just kind of blocking that out and focusing on the next step, which I want to work on to kind of actually help me to improve. But I had doubles next, so we're going to see how that went with Bill in the quarterfinals for a spot in the semis, which would be huge. So let's have a look how I did.
But nevertheless, now on to the doubles quarterfinals, a chance to get into the semis, 8 ATP points on the line, and we're playing against two very, very strong opponents who took out the number 2 seeds in the previous round of Basing and Matsuda. So obviously Max Basing comes from the UK as well. I'd kind of seen him play. He plays a lot of the tournaments here in Bali, absolutely just chops up in the singles, so we knew it was going to be tough. And coming into this one, we knew that we had to play an aggressive brand of tennis because these boys were great from the baseline. They put a lot of depth on the shot, so trying to come in was a bit of part of my strategy, at least, to try and just hold that net position and really just force them to hit through us essentially, rather than beat us with quality of shot, which they were really good at anyway. One thing that I found in playing these guys as well, watching it back now, is they really moved as a unit. They really were able to kind of cover a lot of the court. I tried to be as aggressive as possible, like there, as you can see, like trying to move around the court. This point was ridiculous. I thought that ball was going so far out, somehow scramble it back into the court. This point was actually pretty important, and we do lose it, which was pretty much my fault there. But we do get a sudden death juice point here to try and redeem ourselves. These sudden death juices can literally completely change the outcome of the match, and Bill goes great ball line there, and we do manage to take it and hold on in this first set to our own service game, which is going to prove to be pretty important. Great point there to keep us up here at 3-2, and that's how good the level had to be to kind of keep us in it here in this match. I knew that they were going to mix it up, and again, great backhand there. A lot of those balls where that was a ridiculous reaction volley. A lot of those balls where they're almost playing low percentage shots that I wasn't expecting, but they were able to pull it off pretty effectively. Like even that down the line, okay, I was expecting that one a little bit more, but just the execution of the shot really making it difficult for me to put that ball back in, and they managed to find that break in this first set. And we didn't really feel like we were doing too much wrong. Maybe you could have tried to put a couple more returns in, but at this level the return has to be solid to make a difference, otherwise they're just going to walk all over you. So I said to Bill, look, let's just try and keep doing what we're doing, keep fighting in this set, and maybe we find a break back. And a great move there, takes the set on the sudden death juice. A 6-3, which I felt actually was a lot closer than 6-3. However, you can see that in two ways. You can be frustrated that you lost the set, or you can positively look forward, which we tried to do, and say, okay, well, even though it was 6-3, it felt a lot closer. So therefore, we're a lot closer in this match than we think. Crazy hustle point here at 1-love. And the level of this match just kept kind of getting better from them. I mean, we weren't really sure what to do at this point. Them playing some very, very high level tennis. So, I said, let's try and move around. Let's try and intercept as much as possible, which obviously opens you up to a couple more balls line. And this sudden death juice was going to be absolutely crucial to just keep ourselves in with a shot of winning this one. And we don't take it and go 4-love down. And at this point, I kind of said, let's just swing on these returns. Let's go for broke a little bit more. We've really got to try and do something different. Otherwise, you know, this match is going to be over pretty quick. And a lightning fast speed takes us to one break back here, and I knew that was going to be crucial. And this service game, you know, they played some solid points. Baseline ball there, crazy up the line, forehand inside in, and gives us a little chance here at 40-30 to try and get it back to Sunday Juice. And I just missed that ball wide. Honestly, that was so close, and I really thought we had it on that one, which kind of again, you know, gives them a chance here to serve it out at 5-1. And we do end up losing. These boys actually ended up winning the whole tournament, so congrats to them. Right guys, so thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed. It was an absolute battle of a week, but managed to pick up some more doubles ATP points. And singles, we're working towards next Sunday, where I'm going to be competing in the qualifying draw of my final ITF tournament here in Bali, at least for this year. And I'm super excited. I've been playing some really good tennis. I've been practicing really well. I'm looking forward to it. So if you are as well, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.